Hello and welcome to this new tutorial for ARMA 2 Operation Arrowhead, as well as ARMA 2. Um, this is pretty much a follow-up on my mission editor tutorial series, because I had some problems with the load waypoint. It didn't quite work, so I've been experimenting with that a lot after that. And I've figured out how to make it work, how it works. And I don't know if it's a bug or if it's just been changed, but if I recall correctly, back when I used the load waypoint, you just had to attach it to the units that you wanted the helicopter or the vehicle to wait for. But perhaps that was back in ARMA 1 or perhaps even Operation Flashpoint. Anyways, I expect that you've watched my tutorial series on the mission editor. If not, this tutorial may be difficult to follow. Anyways, I'm gonna launch the editor and I'll just choose Turkestan. Obviously, if you only got ARMA 2, you want to choose Generous or whatever, maybe even UTS. But I'm gonna choose Turkestan. Okay, then we're gonna go to the northern military base and turn on textures to make it easier to see. And then what we're gonna do is that we are gonna make the player start on the military base and then be inserted to this oil field by helicopter, at which the player will take out an enemy unit, just a single unit, and then he will be transported back to the base by the same helicopter. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add the players group. So go to groups, then double click somewhere around here and choose Blue 4, US Army, or obviously if you're only using ARMA 2, just choose USMC or whichever faction you want to use. I'm just gonna choose US Army. Infantry, sniper team, and click OK. And continue, and then double click on the leader and set the control to player. The reason I'm choosing this sniper group is because it's a very small team and we will be able to take out the enemy from a distance without the risk of being shot ourselves, hopefully at least. Then we need the helicopter that's going to insert us and extract us, so go to units and double click somewhere next to the player group, and again Blue 4, US, Air, and then MH6J, because it's small and fast. Obviously, again, if you've only got ARMA 2, just choose any kind of helicopter, it doesn't matter. Could even be just a car, it would just take longer. Anyway, I'm gonna rotate him a bit, like so, and then click OK, and ungroup him from the player, so groups, and then drag from the helicopter to nothing. Actually, now that I think of it, we may want the pilot to be outside and then get into the helicopter. So yeah, change this to a man pilot and then move him down here and then place an empty helicopter up here. Empty, air, where is it? MH6J, and OK, and then place a helipad, so double click again somewhere empty, objects, and then a helipad, and I like my helipads to be facing north, even the invisible ones, also because it looks nicer in the editor if the H isn't rotated and stuff. So north, and then place it underneath the helicopter like so. Okay, so then when the mission starts, we want the player to get into the helicopter, so waypoints, obviously make sure you've selected the pilot and then double click on the helicopter, and also when objects are so close to each other, you want to move the mouse until it actually says the name of the helicopter, so that you don't accidentally at the waypoint to the helipad. There we go. Get in. Okay. And then we want the pilot to wait for this group to get in. So we're gonna give him a load waypoint. Load and okay, and just place it right in front of, like so. Because we need a load waypoint to make him wait, but we also don't want him to move anywhere, so that's why we're placing it right in front. And to make this work, we need to make a get-in waypoint for the player. So select the player, go to waypoints, and don't click on the helicopter, because the more stuff you've attached to an object, the more cumbersome it's gonna be. Like if you've got 10 waypoints on top of the same object, you can only select the top waypoint or the object that it's attached to, and just put the get-in waypoint in front of the helicopter like so. And then we need to synchronize the load waypoint and the get-in waypoint, otherwise it won't work. And also, if you don't synchronize, if the get-in waypoint isn't attached to the object and it's not synchronized either, it'll simply just be deleted when the mission starts. Okay, so basically when we start, the player will see the get-in waypoint not on the helicopter but in front of the helicopter, and when the player gets to the waypoint, then because it's synchronized to the load waypoint, it'll snap onto the helicopter. So we could even make the get-in waypoint over here, and then when the player gets here, then it'll snap onto the helicopter. But we just want the player to walk to the helicopter, like so. So if we just test that. Actually, let me just give that pilot a move waypoint as well. So click one of his waypoints, or simply click on the pilot himself, and then waypoints, and then just make him. Yeah, just place the move waypoint on the oil field like so. So now you should actually wait for us to get in and then fly to the oil field with us. So he gets in, and then he waits, and we get the get-in waypoint, which is in front of it, obviously, because that's where we placed it. But because it's synchronized, when we get to it, it'll snap onto the helicopter that it's synchronized to.
All board that
and
chopper.
we're just going to order them to get in, like so. And then when I get in, the engine will turn on and the pilot will fly to the oil field. And there we go. Okay, so that works. Now we're going to place the enemy unit on the oil field, so go to units, and then double click on the T-junction, or whatever it's called. Go to Plot 4, Insertions, Boss, and maybe rotate him a bit, and click OK. Or perhaps we want to face him, make him face the other way so that we can get close to him without him seeing us. And then we're going to give the player a destroy waypoint, so click the player or one of his waypoints and go to waypoints, and then click next to the enemy, not on the enemy but next to him, and make it a destroy waypoint. The reason is that I don't want the player to know exactly where the enemy is, so I'm just going to place the destroy waypoint somewhere near him, so the player will actually see the destroy waypoint here. But as soon as he identifies an enemy that is close to the destroy waypoint, it'll actually snap onto that enemy. So he will see the waypoint here, and when he spots the enemy, the destroy waypoint will snap onto him. Now the problem is that as soon as the player gets into the helicopter, he will then be given the destroy waypoint, which is probably not what we want. In fact, we may want him to not see the destroy waypoint until he has been dropped off by the helicopter. So what we're going to do to fix that is that, again, we're going to choose waypoints and then set a move waypoint right next to the unload waypoint of the helicopter. So double click here, and then move and change the order to destroy so that it comes before the destroy waypoint, like so. So now when the player has gotten into the helicopter, he will see a waypoint to the location where the helicopter is actually flying. Now another problem arises because even though the completion radius of the move waypoint is 0, when you're in an air vehicle, that will be increased by 500 meters or something like that. So basically the waypoint will complete already when the player is like here. So when the player gets here, he will already see the destroy waypoint. We don't want that. We want him to not get the destroy waypoint until he's actually been dropped off. And I just had a lot of lag, so you probably didn't see that. I'm just going to show it again. The move waypoint will complete already when the player is around like here. So the way we're going to fix that is by simply synchronizing the move waypoint and the unload waypoint. Yes, sorry, the waypoint of the helicopter obviously has to be changed to an unload waypoint. Transport unload. Okay, like so. So the helicopter will unload the units here. So then we're going to synchronize these two. So now when the player gets within those 500 meters, instead of just going on directly to the destroy waypoint, the move waypoint will turn into a wait waypoint until the unit has been dropped off. And once they've been dropped off, we want the pilot to fly away. So click the transport unload waypoint and go to waypoints, zoom out, and then place a waypoint somewhere up here. Just a simple move waypoint. Click OK. And did we change the settings of the load waypoint or the get in waypoint? Yeah, double click on the get in waypoint and then change the behavior to careless and the speed to full and the combat mode to never fire. Because obviously we want him to move fast, but we don't want him to engage enemies, so that's why we tell him to not fire under any circumstances and not to care about anything, or at least not to care about enemy fire. Okay, so now when the player has terminated this unit, we want the helicopter to get back to the player and pick him up. So we're going to click this waypoint and place another waypoint again. Just the same place as we dropped them off, so double click there and make it a load waypoint again. And obviously we also need to give the player a get in waypoint again, so click the destroy waypoint or any other waypoint that belongs to the player, and then click close to the load waypoint and make it a get in. And then just like before, we need to synchronize these two, so the helicopter will go to the low waypoint and then wait because it's synchronized, and when the player gets to the get in waypoint, because it's synchronized, it will snap onto the helicopter. And then click the load waypoint. We want the helicopter to fly back to base, so go back to base and double click and transport unload. And then we also want the pilot to get out, so right next to the unload waypoint, make it get out waypoint, and then perhaps we want him to walk away, so simple move waypoint, and then perhaps allow him to fire and change his speed to normal and his behavior to safe. Okay, and I'm just gonna move these waypoints a bit closer to the helipad, like so. Okay, now the problem is that when the pilot flies up here, immediately when it gets to this waypoint, he's gonna move back again, which is not exactly what we want. We want him to wait. We want him to wait for the player to kill this unit before he flies back. So again, we're gonna use the synchronize tool or mode or whatever, and synchronize the move waypoint of the helicopter to the destroy waypoint of the player. So none of the groups will continue until both these waypoints have completed. Okay, I guess that's pretty much it, but we want some oh, actually we need to place a helipad here so the pilot will know where to land. You don't have to, the pilot can find a place to land, but You know, with a helipad you can designate exactly where you want him to land, and the AI is not always that great at finding landing spots. So if you don't place a helipad, you may you may find the pilot landing in a tree or something. So select units and then double click somewhere around these waypoints, then go to empty, objects, and then invisible helipad, because we probably don't want people to see a helipad in the middle of nowhere. And I'm going to change the azimuth to 0 because I like helipads to face north, simply because it looks nice in the editor. And then place it somewhere between these waypoints. That's okay. And okay, so now we just need one more thing, which is the ending conditions. And one of the ending conditions is obviously if we kill that unit and get back to the base. So basically, when the pilot has dropped off the units back at the base, gotten out, and moved to this waypoint, we want the mission to end. One way to do this is by double clicking on the last waypoint of the pilot, and then in the on activation field type end mission, and then space, and then quotes, and then end 1, and then quotes, and this will end the mission when the pilot gets here. However, if you do not want to use scripting, instead of this, what you can do is take a trigger, place it next to the waypoint, and change the axis to 5, and then change the type to end 1, and click OK, and then group it to the pilot. Sorry, I had some lag again. Let me just show you that again. So once you've set it to end 1, group it to the pilot so that it applies to him, and then move it to the center of the waypoint, and then obviously when the pilot gets to this point, the end screen will pop up. However, we don't want it to pop up immediately as he gets to the waypoint. We want it to wait a bit. So change the countdown minimum to 5, 7, and 10, so that when the pilot gets to this point, the game will wait 5 to 10 seconds before it ends the mission. Click OK. And then we also want to make the losing conditions, and the losing conditions are when the helicopter is destroyed. Of course, the losing conditions could be anything, but in this case we're just going to make the losing condition if the transport helicopter gets destroyed, or if one of the units in the player's group dies, or obviously if the pilot dies. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to triggers, and then double click somewhere in the center of the map, and make the axis 50,000. So that it has a radius of 50 kilometers, and then change it to not present, and change the type to lose. And then again, we don't want the game to end immediately as a unit is killed, so click countdown, and then change the minimum to 5, mid to 7, and max to 10. Okay, and click OK, and then group it. Group the trigger to the pilot, like so, and then make another trigger next to it, and change the radius to 50,000, not present, and then group it to the helicopter. Again, because we have a waypoint on top of it, we have to hold down shift to get to the helicopter itself, and then release. So what we've done is that basically in the trigger you just created for the player, set the type also to lose, and then a countdown also to 5 and 7 and 10. Sorry, the one you made for the helicopter, not the player. Okay. So what we've made is that we have this huge trigger set to not present, which means that if the pilot or whatever object it's applies to, when it gets outside the activation radius, then it'll activate. But also when it dies, because when a unit is dead, it is also not present. So basically, these triggers will activate when the units that they're grouped to dies. So we've got those for the the helicopter and the pilot, and we just need another one for the player group. So place another trigger next to these. Again, 50,000. And again, with some scripting, you make all this in a single trigger with some conditions here. But we're gonna do it this way, so I'm not gonna confuse you, hopefully. And change again the type to loose. Click OK, and again group it to the player or any of the group members, but I'm just gonna group it to the player. And then go into that triggers settings by double clicking on it, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna obviously we're gonna change it to not present again, but we're also gonna change the activation to whole group. Now if it's set on present, then if we choose any group member, then obviously if one member of the group enters the radius, then it'll activate. And if we choose whole group, then when all of the group members has entered the activation radius, then it'll activate. However, so obviously if you wanted just one unit to activate this trigger, we would have to choose this. However, when we choose not present, we actually have to choose whole group, because we want this trigger to activate if the whole group is not present. And you may think that you have to choose any group member, but that's not what we want, because if we kill one unit in the player's group, then the whole group is not present anymore, right? Because if one is dead, one is missing, so it's not the whole group. I hope that wasn't confusing. So this is what we want: whole group not present. And click OK. Do we set the countdown? No, set the countdown 5, 7, 10. And click OK. Okay, so let's try this by killing the various different units. So I'm just gonna change the player to an anti-tank, so that we can try out all three losing conditions. So I'm just gonna move away because this is gonna make a huge explosion. That's gonna hurt me. Now the pilot is in, so obviously both the triggers will activate, but whichever counts down first will end the mission. And that's obviously not what I wanted. Didn't want to die. So actually, let me just shoot the pilot before he gets in. Oh, damn it. Okay, so he's dead.
Hold fire.
So within 5 to 10 seconds, we're just going to fast forward. Mission should end, and there we go. And again, I just want to test it for the helicopter, which may be difficult due to the pilot. So let's just imagine that the helicopter works as well, because obviously it does, but whatever. And I'm getting lag, so I'm just gonna pause for a while. Okay, so let's just try on one of these units. I don't remember if we already did that.
2
No,
is
we
down.
didn't. So I'm just gonna fast forward, and the mission should end. And there we go. Okay, so the ending condition works. So unless I've forgotten something, all we need to do now is simply test the mission. So let's try that. Preview. So the pilot is going to get in and going to wait for us, and then when we get to this waypoint, we will get the waypoint to get in as well. And I didn't want this anti-tank. Doesn't matter. And
board that chopper.
Roger. Ready. Waiting.
Okay, so then it'll move to the transport onload waypoint, sorry. And when we get 500 meters from it, close hit, whatever, it'll turn into a wait waypoint because we've synchronized it with the onload waypoint. There we go. So it won't just go on directly to the destroy waypoint. And then we're gonna land. And the enemy has obviously already spotted us, but whatever. I'm just gonna order them to get out.
Disembark.
Roger.
All eject.
Roger. Standing by.
There we go, and he'll take off
Standing by.
and wait in a galaxy far, far away, or something to that effect. So now he will wait until we've completed the destroy waypoint, which, unless we've spotted the enemy, which I don't think we have, the waypoint will be exactly where we placed it, and then when we spot the enemy, it'll snap onto him. So if I just move closer, it should snap on. Let's zoom in on the enemy.
11 o'clock.
There
Enemy
we go.
officer. Far. All fire. All target that officer.
So we kill him, and then the helicopter is gonna come back, and we get the get-in waypoint. So we're gonna move that.
All move to bush. 7 o'clock.
On the way.
And the helicopter is just gonna wait in the air until we get to the get-in waypoint. There we go. So now it's gonna land. And okay, we're probably standing right on top of the helipad, so that's why he lands over here.
Standing by.
So we're gonna get in, and he's gonna take off and fly us back to the base. And land exactly on top of that helipad.
All dismount.
Roger.
And then he's gonna throw me out, and I'm lagging again, so I'm just gonna pause for 10 minutes. Okay, anyway, he's gonna throw me out and then get out himself and, you know, walk away, and then the mission is gonna end.
Stand up. At ease.
Ready.
There we go. He's gonna walk away.
All halt.
Roger.
All observe that pilot.
And then between 5 and 10 seconds and the mission will end. Hopefully. Yeah, there we go. So that's pretty much it. Of course you can make a lot more stuff to this mission, but anyways, that's all for this mission, for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a comment, and if you liked it, show it. I'd also like to get some feedback on these videos, so yeah. Anyways, if you have some requests, please post them and I'll see what I can do. So see you later.